Hello, welcome to the final episode of The Reign of Megatron. And this is the one I have been trying to finish the review series on, and have been having a lot of trouble getting it. I eventually had to order from SirToys.com to get this thing, and it is finally in hand. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the KO version of the MP-36 Megatron. Yes, this is the KO version, not the official. There isn't much difference between the two when it comes to appearance and articulation. There is some differences with the joints, but we will get into that a little later. As you can see, he is a gun. A fairly realistic looking gun, and yeah. When they sold the official ones in the US, they had to be sold with an orange barrel plug. This has been imported from China, so it does not have the barrel plug, and I really want to ask, is anyone willing to sell me the barrel plugs for this thing? Because I want to use this as a cosplay prop, so I absolutely need that barrel plug. But beyond that, we are actually going to have to look at some of the accessories. Because yes, this is Megatron. He has his stock. Oh, let's get him back up there. He has his silencer. And, okay, that's going to need to be put down here for now. And of course he has the scope, which of course he's going to need to complete his look. There is tabs that have to slide in a certain way and locks nice and secure in place. The stock, you have a button here that raises two tabs in there. Has to carefully slide in place, and we have to hold the button as we do so. And now for the the silencer. This thing, even on the official version, will break your barrel if you are not careful. As you can see, I already pre-rotated this so that these rails are pointing at the bottom. I don't recall if this is the official configuration. I am just going by the instructions. But you just slide it in place, and that's about as far as I comfortably feel putting this on here. I have been able to get it all the way down before, but it's a really tight fit, and I have to be very gentle trying to get this thing off. But anyway, there is the full look of Megatron. He's kind of hefty. There is some die cast in him. And he is very long. I say about 2.5, maybe almost 3 feet long. Anyway, let's take this off. I'm going to be very careful. You might not be able to see it, but there is a little scuffing on the barrel from putting the silencer on. But then again, there's scuffing all over this thing because I've transformed this thing a few times. And when taking this off, you have to push in that button to slide it off. And then, of course, this part is kind of the hardest part to get off. Came off easily that time, but it doesn't really come off too well. There is something we can do with these three parts. First things first, the stock. We spread the foot down, and then we press this and fold out this piece right here. We have to hold it down because it locks in certain positions, like right here and right here. And it is now a flight stand. You see it has this little peg here. I actually tried this with a few other Transformers. I'm not sure if it's because if this is a KO or if it's just a problem with the stand in general, but it only fits on certain figures. It doesn't really fit securely. I got this to work on my leader class Power of the Primes Titans Return Overlord. And I got this to work on my Power of the Prime's Nemesis Prime a little bit. Other figures, this section right here will make them pop off, but the ones I can actually get to fit, some of them were kind of loose. You are supposed to be able to put Megatron on this, but it doesn't really work too well. I've noticed with both the KO and some of the official ones that this tab right here tends to really have a snug fit, and on the KO it just doesn't fit at all. So I've seen fix videos where you shave this down so it's curved and take this square part of the peg on halfway down and just shave it down so it's just curved. I'm going to have to take an X-Acto knife and do that myself. But there is one other thing we can do with this thing, and I'm bringing this back up. We rotate this 180 degrees and fold out these little handles. We gotta position the feet like so. We take the barrel. You already see there's a piece that folds out here. There is rails. There's a slot here and rails on the top that we just slide that in like so, and then we take this, and there is grooves right there in the back that just slide it in place, and there we have a mounted gun for Megatron to use when he's in robot mode. Yeah, looks good. Probably what I'm going to be having it transformed into when I display it in robot mode. Although, if I fix that, I'll probably try to use it as a flight stand. So, there you have that. As for this, it does feel really nice in my hand. Doesn't really tab in all that well, but then again, it's not because it's a KO. I've seen the Masterpieces versions, and it doesn't tab in too well in certain spots. Probably because of all the different paneling they had to do in order to achieve the effect. We do have a moving safety, a moving hammer, and of course I already showed off the spring-loaded trigger. And we're going to just stop right there briefly because I am not going to transform this thing on camera. Yeah, this thing is complicated to transform, and I am not going to do it on camera. It would take forever. There are pieces I have to really carefully move in order to make sure that they don't break or anything. So I'm going to cut here, and we'll resume with the fully transformed Megatron. And after the very long, very involved transformation sequence, we now have Megatron in his robot mode. And it is a very nice looking robot mode, almost completely accurate to the cartoon. There is a few problems, like for example the back portion just being kibble. And on the KO it's kind of floppy. I think the joint was a little stiffer when I first got it, but it's gotten loose just over the few days I've been playing around with this. There is a third-party add-on you can get that will cover this, and it also replaces the cannon. Why would you want to replace the cannon, you might ask? Well, okay, let me get him standing up here and I'll demonstrate. First things first. There's that blast sound effect. It's not the one from the show. It sounds like a very generic blast sound effect. The third-party one actually sounds more show accurate. Now then we switch to the third mode and you have the transformation sound effect. And you might notice there's no light. Yeah, the official one has a red light in the scope, his fusion cannon. The KO, the light doesn't work. And another thing I like about the third party is that it has a purple light, which is again more show accurate. And we switch to mode 2 and we get Yeah, I'm not going to go through all the voice clips, but yeah, that's the Japanese voice clips. They're nice and clear, especially on this KO version, but I would much prefer the English voice clips without Frank Welker. So yeah, more reason to get the third-party Fusion Cannon over the one that came in the box. So for the time being, we are going to remove the cannon, and unfortunately this is where it decides to be difficult. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. For the most part, when I got this off the first time, it just came off really easily, but there we go. It normally is pretty hard to come off of this arm. You can transform this with the Fusion Cannon still attached, but I would not recommend it since it just gets in the way all the time. As for his shoulder cannon, the shoulder barrel here, we can fold this down and have it pointing out his hip. I'm not going to go all the way through that transformation because there is one other thing we can do, and that is with the silencer. There's this little thing right here that we just pop out. There's this little tab in his shoulder, and we just slide that in, make sure that tab's in place. Sometimes I don't get this thing lined up right and it just pops right off, but there we go. We now have a shoulder cannon, and to complete the effect, let me just move my camera upward a little bit. We take the Fusion Cannon, and there are two rails right there that we just slide it on like so. And now Megatron has a cannon face. Yeah, he was doing this long before Lockdown did. So yeah, I'm gonna take that off him. Put his Fusion Cannon back on. Yeah, a lot easier to get it on than to get it off. And we're gonna look at his accessories. Aside from the mounted gun that we saw earlier, he also has this little thing, which is used to control his Optimus Prime clone. Fits nice and snug on his head, although being a KO, it kind of feels a little cheap plastic. Paint's not as good as the official, but you do what you can. Then we got this infamous weapon he had in the movie. They call it a plasma knife. It looks more like a sword to me, and yet the effect piece comes off because we need to show the gun that he killed Optimus Prime with, which again, the effects piece just goes right in there like so. So he has both the weapons he used to kill Optimus Prime in the movie. Next he has his Energon mace. And this version of the chain, which is posable, but I'm not going to replace it on camera because you just pop it off, pop it on. To get it on him, you basically just have to slide his wrist off. And you have to make sure you got the curve right to slide it onto. Kind of having a hard time doing this on camera, but come on, get in there. There we go. Now he has his Energon mace just hanging off of his arm. We'll just pop that off and put his hand back on. There we go. Then he has the key to Vector Sigma, which is metal. It's nicely painted, although the paint is a little better on the official. And then we have his alternate heads, which we have his laughing head right here. We have his more serious head right here. And there is something I want to note while I have these out. The original version of this KO, his eyeliner was not painted on. However, when I got this, the eyeliner was painted on. I'm not sure if Sir Toys did that for me or if the manufacturer has been hearing the issues with it and decided to put that in themselves. And there is another set of accessories we need to look at. Since we're talking the movie, he has his battle-damaged head and chest. So to replace the chest, we gotta pop this off. A little tricky to get off, but it comes off. And we just slide the damaged piece on like so. And for the head, you just pop this off, and while we have his head off, we have all that nice little detail work, which was from the trans-scanning scene from the movie. There's just a little peg there. I mean, there's a hole there, there's a peg in the head, and it just slides on. Okay, it's kind of hard to do this on camera because I have to get the angle right, but yeah, there we go. Now we have Megatron battle damaged. So yeah, let's get all these accessories out of the way while we actually take a look at his articulation. First things first, KO. These are very tight on the KO version. They're a little bit easier to move in the official version. So long as I'm very gentle with where I have my finger placement, I can get it to move. But it is really tight, and I am a little concerned if I'm not careful, I might break that. Hip skirts move as well. Butt plate can be hinged out a little. You get some nice universal hips. Knees well over 90 degrees. Nice articulated ankles. Hips, shoulders are universal, although this joint right here is very tight. He also has inward movement. Bicep swivel. Well, the deep elbow bends. His head is on a ball joint. There's also a joint that lets him look up further, look down like so. His waist has swivel. He has an ab crunch, and his hands are also articulated. He has his movable thumb. His finger has two joints, and his lower fingers are all one piece, also jointed like so. All in all, a nicely posable Megatron. So, without further ado, let's get some comparisons in, shall we? First thing, here is Siege Megatron. Here is the Voyager animated Megatron. Here is the Voyager Last Night Megatron. And here is that shitty titanium Megatron. Here he is next to Leader animated Megatron. Here he is next to Leader Revenge of the Fallen Megatron, and okay, I'll concede he's bigger, but he's still not as good. Here he is next to Transmetal 2 Megatron. Here he is next to Energon Megatron. About the same height, but he has a lot bigger wingspan. But then again, what does this Megatron need of wings? He can just fly without them. Here he is next to Combiner Wars Megatron. And yeah, he's going to take this guy's place on the shelf, and this guy's going into storage now. And finally, here he is next to movie Masterpiece Optimus Prime. And there we go. So yeah, that is my review of the KO version of the MP-36 Megatron. To be honest, if you can't afford the official version, and let's face it, who really can at this point, this is a good alternative. Sure, it's still not cheap, but a lot cheaper than the other one. And yeah, once you replace the canon with the English voice clips, it's a lot better. Anyway, that is my review. I hope to see you guys again next video. Bye!